folks if you got sad during playing of the bagpipes. Do I need this?
Yes.
Yeah, I do apologize if that brought tears to anybody's eyes. The family did not know that was going to happen today. And I arranged for that piper to come as a surprise to the family and a surprise to you, because when I thought about it, I really thought that knowing Sue, she would have loved to have had a bagpiper at this type of a service. And she would have thought it was cool, unusual, and different. And as he played those beautiful notes, I could just see Sue with that expression where she quickly cocks her head and tilts it on an angle and says, "Damn! That was sick, dude!" But as beautiful as that song Amazing Grace is, and as nicely as Pat played it, it is a sad song, and it does evoke tears. But it was my thinking that if we started with crying and tears and sadness, then there's only one direction to go from here, which is upward with happiness, which is, I think, the purpose of us being here today, is to think about Sue's life, especially her involvement here with the school, and put a happy spin on it. Ken needs to write notes. I need to write notes and put on glasses. But before I even get started, there's some huge, heartfelt thanks that Sue and our family want to extend to the staff of this great school. First, Principal Mitchell and Assistant Principal Shabika, thank you so much for allowing this memorial service to occur on your school grounds. The thought and effort that has gone on behind the scenes to put on this whole event has fallen totally on your shoulders and the shoulders of all here at the school who helped and gave of their time, money, food, and service to enable our family to enjoy this celebration of life. I recently retired from a 36-year career in law enforcement, and I did not believe that there was any other profession with more brotherhood, togetherness, support, and camaraderie than that which exists amongst cops. But these last 3 months have taught me otherwise. The amount of love, caring, support, time, flowers, gifts, cards, and food that so many teachers, both present and retired, poured onto Sue and in support of our family has been something the likes of which I have never seen before. You teachers, you educational support staff, you students are tighter and stronger than any group of police officers I have ever known. Shamika, Tricia Egbers, Diane Holland, Sue Arnold, Sandy Rogers, April Walker, Judy, Jenny, Pam, Karen, and the list goes on and on. We're all there for Sue and for our family. Sue looked forward to your visits, and her last days were strengthened and made happier by your mere presence by her bedside. And the family feels very bad about having had to turn away so many of you who called and wrote and texted and wanted to come by to visit her. But Sue's stamina and her self-consciousness about not wanting you to see her in the suffering condition is why we regretfully have to tell some of you to hold off on visiting. It wasn't that Sue didn't love you just as much or enjoy your company. It's just that when she got hospitalized at the end and then came home from hospice, she only had so much wind in her sails. And it was almost like a pre-dawn sale at Macy's, where only a certain number of people get in before the door gets locked. And those of you who did make it in and became the regular visitors down the home stretch, I know you felt as blessed to be in that inner circle as Sue did to have you taking the time and energy to make her last days more cherished and warm. Even when you visitors, approached the house on Sue's long driveway, of which her bed afforded her a good view, she would see you coming and sometimes protest that she wasn't up for a visit, didn't want to be seen this way, and was in too much discomfort to interact with you. You came in anyway, spent countless hours by her bed, holding her hand, and after you left, it was obvious to us family members that her spirits have been greatly lifted by your visit. I was blessed to have known Sue for the past 36 years, as I'm married to her twin, Joyce, and I'm honored to say a few words about her today's service. So let's get started. By a showing of hands, is there anybody here who does not know Sue Nitzgorski? Anybody here with a family member or a friend who never met Sue? Okay, so to educate you and just to remind everybody else, Sue Nitzgorski was a woman of very few words. Her stories were concise. Her words were marked with brevity. Not. No way, never. Quite the opposite. Sue actually did not know a short story. Whether it be on a Monday morning after an exciting weekend where she had something to share with you, whether it was when school returned in the fall and she wanted to tell you about some highlights of the summer, or even the following morning after a simple evening trip to the grocery store to pick up some produce. She had the richest, funniest, and longest stories to share. Even if she had to run to Wegmans just to buy some fruit, she wanted to tell you about a funny incident that happened at the checkout register. You're going to hear what route she traveled to get there, what blank person had done to cut her off and almost hit her, what species of an unusual bird flew in front of her windshield, what type of salute she administered to the moron who stole her parking space, what was on sale in aisle 3, and how she met the third cousin of one of her former students in aisle 5. And finally, she'd get to the punchline about what happened at the register. She told classic, long stories. Now, how many of you, well, some of you don't know, but many of you do know Joyce, her twin. And many of you got to know her here over the last 3 months. And for those of you who do know Joyce, let me ask you this. Does Joyce know a short story? No, she doesn't. Many of you have been visiting at the house recently and you've gotten to converse, which means listen to Joyce. Tell you the long-winded story of whatever the event of the day is. So yes, the Nids twins are very long-winded and they will talk your ear off. But what you don't know is that they were never that way until they met me. My stories and manner and length of talking to people makes Joyce and Sue like they tell you Reader's Digest condensed versions of stories. So bear with me for a little while. Get comfortable in your seats. I know these seats are hard, and I will not be offended if you go to the cooler library. Just don't eat all the food and enjoy it being piped in. But I'm going to wrap through this as fast as I can. But it's going to be a little bit long, and yet all the good food and drinks will revive you when I'm finished. But you have to understand my dilemma. I knew that I wanted to say a few words about her at the service, but when the person that you're talking about is the greatest sister-in-law you ever could have had, the greatest junior high school science teacher that you ever knew, the greatest tennis coach that you ever knew, how do you limit that to a reasonable amount of time when you've known that person for 36 years? Well, I did. I originally started writing some stuff down. It was 97 pages long. I had it down to 11 hours, and I pared it down dramatically, and I guarantee you that we were going to be out of here before that school bell homeroom runs. But getting serious for a minute now, why are we here? Why is it that we are here? I don't mean here in the auditorium at Stone Middle School celebrating Sue Niedzgorski's life. I mean, why is it, in a bigger sense, that we're here? Why is it that we are part of this planet called Earth? Now, I don't want to get into a spiritual or religious or scientific discussion about that answer, but I have my belief about why we are here, and I know that I shared that belief with Sue together. And that is the reason we exist as human beings, the reason that we are in this world, to experience and cherish all that life has to offer, is because of love. Sometimes the love is eternal and lasts for the rest of people's lives. Sometimes it unfortunately starts strong but subsequently fades away after a while. Sometimes it's only spontaneous, perhaps not even with the creation of a life intended, but nevertheless heartfelt love at the time. Now I know from a science perspective that medicine and science have come up with ways to start life in a test tube and with in vitro implantation techniques, but even when that procedure is followed, it is the desire for love that brings the person to life. So if the reason that we're here on this earth is because of love, then what are we supposed to do on the earth while we're here? I believe, and Sue believed, that because it was love that got us here in the first place, we have a duty, an honor, an obligation, a lifetime mission to spread and demonstrate love throughout our lives. Susan did just that. She didn't just talk the talk, she walked the walk. Her actions, her words, her giving, her care and concern, her selflessness, her support for others, her care for the environment, and her dedication to everything she did and everyone she knew were consistent, never-ending, perfect exhibitions of the concept of love. She loved her mother and father. She loved her 3 sisters. She loved her pets, her classmates, her teammates. She loved the field of education. She loved sciences and medical topics. She loved nature, animals, plants, the environment, even astrology. Sue was passionate about tennis and all sports. She loved her cars, and she loved her house and her yard. She loved a great meal, especially a cookout on the grill. She so proudly loved her nephews, and she thrived on the love she shared with the upbringing of Logan and Bryce. She loved to shop, but usually that shopping was to get things to give to presents to those who she loved. She loved her schools where she taught. She loved her fellow teachers. She loved her classroom, and most of all, she loved her students. Perhaps the greatest display of love you can perform is to give your life for someone else or for your country. Even though Sue was not a soldier who was killed in battle defending her country, and although she never actually took a bullet or put herself in harm's way to save the life of someone else, I do believe that her being stricken with this dreadful fatal disease of ovarian cancer and how she fought it with dignity and bravery was in a way giving her life for others. She wanted her bad situation to help anyone in a similar predicament in the future. And she was a huge advocate for cancer and cell division research. She even gave some of her human tissues to further those causes. But more than that, I think that Sue's attitude and behavior during her journey through this illness showed that it was her love to be willing to go through it before her family and you friends, and to lay down her life and show you all how to cope with this suffering and loss and to lead us into afterlife. I believe that these were all displays of how her love for us fueled her willingness and acceptance to sacrifice her future so that we might learn and gain from her journey. But beyond giving your life for someone else or giving the end of your life as a teaching and leading point for others like Sue did, I think the largest act of love that a human can give is to be an organ donor. Sue was a huge proponent of organ donation and hoped that she could someday donate parts of her body so that others might live longer. There are many wonderful things that you can do to show your love while you're here on earth. But when you're willing to give your body at the time your life is over to others so that they may continue to live, is totally selfless. Unfortunately, as it turned out with this horrible cancer attacking Sue's entire body, she was not able to be an organ donor. The cancer ravaged all of her organs except one, and that one could not be donated. That organ was her heart, and it couldn't be donated. And the reason it couldn't be donated is because science and medicine has not yet come up with a way to enable human beings to be the recipients of a heart transplant for a heart that is made out of metal. And Sue's heart was made out of metal, a precious metal. It's called gold. Now, some of you might make the argument that Sue's heart was actually made of gold overlay on top of iron, steel, or titanium. The way that she competed on a tennis court, the way that she fought adversities in life, the way that she battled this horrible disease definitely showed a heart made of hard metal, not soft, flexible metal like gold. But even when her heart was performing in life's events that require a rock-solid heart, Sue's demeanor and glow always shined the rays of golden light. I would love to share a lot of stories with you that demonstrate the love and golden heart that Sue had. But we've got to get moving towards the tree dedication. There's other speakers, and so I'm just going to whittle it down and hope to share the others with you at another time. So I've narrowed it down to 3 stories. The first one, I talked earlier about taking a bullet. Well, in the first story, you're going to see how Sue actually dodged a bullet. And then I'm going to tell you a brief funny story about the iron part of her heart showing through, and then a funny story at the end about one of the golden times I shared with her. But before I do that, I know that Sue, as a science teacher, would like me to take a moment and turn this into an educational science classroom event. So, talking about gold, of which Sue's heart was made out of. For any of our current students, any former students, with a showing of a hand for the answer, this is a little 2-part quiz. On the periodic table of elements, periodic chart of elements, what number is gold? Oh my God, I thought they said she was a good teacher. Can anybody take a stab at that? There's only 100 and some odd numbers, right? Anybody know what number? No, don't get out your Google machines, no cheating. Anybody know what number gold is on the periodic chart? Anybody want to take a guess?
13.
13? Who said 13? And who else has a guess at the number?
14.
Who said 14? All right, well, I have 2 things to say to you. First of all, you folks have been out of science a long time. because you're nowhere close to the right answer. I'm nowhere close to your prize for getting close to the right answer. She said 13, you said 14, you were a lot closer. The number's 79. Who said All right, second part of the quiz. Same periodic table of elements. What is the two-letter symbol for gold? Oh my gosh. You know what? I think some Google machines were cracking there. You know what? This would be like the t-shirt toss at the ball game. All right? There were a lot of hands up there. Whoever gets that one, you win. Now what you're going to see is those are split open tennis balls, and inside of each tennis ball is a fishing lure. Sue loved to fish. That was one of the things I really enjoyed sharing with her. And it's my hope that you two very sharp science students get the right answer. Go find yourself some favorite water, put that on the end of a line, and cast it in, and think of Sue when you do it. And I don't care whether you catch a minnow or a whopper. Just think of Sue, and think of the story that you would tell Sue about the fish that you caught. Because Sue loved the stories. And then speaking about the academic thing, that was the quiz. There's going to be homework today, okay? And don't worry, you're going to get to work on it in class. In fact, it's due before you leave here today. And it's going to happen during the reception. And in the reception room, you're going to find huge boxes of tennis balls, as Sue had in her classroom. And the purpose of this homework assignment is to teach you not to become long-winded like me. Because I want you to grab a tennis ball. There's tons of markers in there too, permanent markers, ultra fine point, regular fine point. And in one and only one word, I would like you to please write the word that you think best summarizes how you envision Sue. It doesn't have to be an adjective. It can be a noun. It can be a verb. It can be an adverb. And then on the other side, please write your name. Because the family's going to use this as kind of our own guest registry book. And as we look back on it, we're going to have a lot of laughs, I think, and share some good sentiment. And remember this day with the words that you folks write. And then just throw them in the big red tubs that you'll see there in the reception room.
Can it be an expletive?
It can be, because as the principal alluded, and I'm going to get into in a second here. Well, I'll just flat out say this, okay? Well, there are children present. And I come from a profession, which I'm very embarrassed to admit this, is the most profane, foul-speaking profession there is. And so when I met Sue and found out that she could cuss like a drunken sailor, cuss me under the table, she could hold her own when it comes to thoughtful words. But I'd like to tell you these brief three stories. The first one is how she dodged a bullet. It's my favorite story. It's how I met Sue. And to understand how I met Sue, it comes down to one word. Without this word, our lives would have never crossed paths, and I would have never been the recipient of all the joy and happiness that Sue brought. That word is tennis. And my family was huge into tennis. We weren't very good, but we played a lot. And when I was 11 years old, I entered my first tournament of my life, the Delaware State Tournament, and I went on the court, promptly got knocked out of the tournament, and was walking off the court, and I heard a huge buzz amongst the spectators. The boys were up at one end, the girls were at the other. So I went over to see what the commotion was at the girls' set of courts over in the other alcove of the tennis facility. And this is what I saw. Do we have a picture there? I'm not a teacher. I don't have like a lesson plan. Props. No.
No, back,
The other,
back,
the
the
other one
first
there?
one.
No.
First one.
Other direction, please. Okay, that's what I saw on the tennis court. All right, and Pookie, the chihuahua, wasn't there. But those two girls, these cute little slender blonde-haired ponytail girls with a headband on and wristbands and nice white sneakers, were out there. Can you put another picture of them when they put their faces on the Christmas tree? That's what I saw on the tennis court. And what I saw and others saw was unbelievable. These girls were smacking the heck out of the ball and annihilating their opponents. And there was a huge buzz about who were these two young phenomena. And I said, what are their names? And they said, Joyce and Sue. That's all I understood, Joyce and Sue, because their last name looked like a vehicle identification number. And I remember just walking down the hillside at them. I guess you'd call it tennis puppy love, an instant crush at age 11. So we grew up in different school districts. I only saw them over the next half dozen years. Just when our schools played each other, and they just kept getting bigger and better and stronger. And you'd follow them in the newspapers as they were ripping up the Middle Atlantic states in tennis. My family was like here, we were okay, we were good. And then you had the great players. And somewhere higher than that top row where you folks are sitting were the Niedzgorski twins. And I say that seriously. They were unbelievable. Everyone in the state of Delaware knew them. So I went off to college at Boston, had no idea where they went to school until I come home on vacation and started reading articles about how they were ripping up the records at the University of Delaware in tennis. So in 1979, my brother, who graduated from college, came back home to Delaware, was working in Dover, Delaware, playing tennis once a week at the Dover Tennis Club. And he noticed on the wall one night that there was going to be a mixed doubles tournament. He wanted to play in it, so he called our mother and said, hey, I want to enter this mixed doubles tournament. Who do you think I should ask? And my mother said, well, it's obvious. If you want to win it, you call the Niedzgorski twins. So he did what most 23-year-old young boys do. And he says, Mom, can you call them for me? So my mom called. Our families didn't really know each other. Her sister, the twin sister, Bobby, had been my substitute teacher once in 8th grade in algebra, and our mothers had worked at tennis tournament once together, but we really didn't know each other's families other than anybody in the state of Delaware who could read a newspaper knew who the Niedzgorski twins were. So my mom got Sue on the phone. She was the poor person that answered, and Sue agreed to play in the tournament with my brother, which leads us to what happened when they played in the tournament. My brother's little limited memorial of sports archives is pretty much down to just this. Only really was comprised of this. But that's the cup that he and Susan won in 1979 as the Dover Tennis Club champions. And obviously, the author or the sports writer did not graduate from my school of speaking because he put the whole story into 2 paragraphs. So anyway, 2 years go by. My brother was out in Alaska and San Diego working. During that time, Sue broke her leg, and I mean nasty, broke her leg. We didn't know about it. My brother didn't know about it. And for those of you that have read on the obituary webpage, the article that was attached from the current University of Delaware tennis coach, talking about how the women's team recently dedicated the match against Temple to Sue and the fabulous outcome of that match. In that article, they mentioned that Sue broke her leg in her junior year during a rollerblading accident. Let me tell you, there were no rollerblades in 1980. I'm talking about old school, 4-wheel, shin-high laced boots that do not do well when you hit a pothole going at a high rate of speed. So Sue got really banged up bad. My brother came back not knowing that. He was working in Dover again. The tournament now was for Super Bowl weekend. And he called Sue and said, Sue, that tournament that we played in 2 years ago, won is up. Do you want to play in it? And she goes, oh, Don, I guess you didn't hear. I'm barely walking. I can't run, and I'm done with tennis for right now. I destroyed my leg. And my brother, being the kind and compassionate soul he is, said, geez, that's a shame. Is Joyce home? And Sue said, yeah, and gave the phone to Joyce, and Joyce got hoodwinked into the tournament. Now, at that time, I was working down here in the Washington area on a co-op, on a internship, co-op job. And all I wanted to do was watch the Super Bowl that weekend, because the Eagles were playing the Raiders. The Eagles were our team in Wilmington. They stunk our whole lives, and now they were in the championship game. So I called my brother midweek, and I said, hey, where are you and our middle brother Jim, who's here in the front row, where are we going to drink beers and watch the Eagles on Sunday night? And he said, well, I'm playing a tennis tournament with Joyce Niedzgorski this weekend. And why don't you come up, and we'll do some duck hunting near the tournament site, and then you can cheer me on from the gallery and watch the tennis tournament, and then the tournament's going to be over by Sunday afternoon, and we'll watch the game together. So I wasn't much into duck hunting, and certainly didn't want to spend a Saturday watching tennis, but I decided to come up anyway. We duck hunted, we went over to the tennis club, and I went up into the viewing gallery, and here was Susan Niedzgorski. I, to this day, remember the pink button-down long-sleeve shirt and gray woolen slacks that she was wearing. Because as Ken said, when you met Sue Niedzgorski, you were never going to forget it. And Sue and I, who are both long talkers, talked and talked and talked. And I was really impressed. I said, boy, she is really a sharp, funny, intelligent, articulate person who I'd love to get to know. I was telling my brother that all the way home. Well, the next day, they made it into the finals, and they were not as successful as that. And somebody here said earlier about the competitiveness in the Twins. Let me tell you something. I don't care whether it's Tiddlywinks, Monopoly, a board game, horseshoes at the beach, or tennis. They do not like to lose. And Joyce lost in the finals with my brother, and I said, giddy up, it's time to go watch the Super Bowl. And my mother said, whoa, whoa, you boys can't always try and impart gentlemanliness with her. She said, you can't let Joyce ride home alone. And it was about an hour's ride up to Wilmington, and so my older brother had his car. My middle brother is a quiet guy. He wasn't much for making conversation, so I got thrown under the bus. And I had to go over to the Volkswagen Beetle, knock on the window, hey, can I ride with you? I'm like, I gotta kind of keep you company on the way home. It's the gentlemanly thing to do. Joyce has steam coming out of her ears. She tipped off as she lost. And she said, no, I'm all set. And I said, no, you don't understand, you don't have a choice. I can't go back and tell my mother that you said no. So I've got to ride with you. So she opens the manual lock and tells me to hop in. Doesn't say a word for the first 20 miles, just pissed about the match. Finally, she opens up, and over the next 40 minutes, I find out that she's exactly like Sue, believe it or not. Very congenial, very articulate, intelligent, funny as heck to talk to. And I thought, wow, both of those girls are really nice. I'd really like to get to know them better. The Eagles get trumped. I hop on the train, come back down here to Washington. Can't get them out of my mind. All day Monday, I said, I really want to get to know Sue and Joyce better. So I called my brother Don, and I said, hey, I'd like to ask out one of those Niskorsky twins. What's the deal with them? I said, is either one of them got a boyfriend, or they both have boyfriends? Do I have any shot at this at all? And he said, Susan has a really long time serious relationship going with this guy, but Joyce is available. Well, he had it backwards. So I go, oh, thanks, Don. And I do my research, find the payphone number at their dormitory. They were roommates in college, all through college. Find the dormitory payphone number, call it, get Joyce on the phone, and ask her out on a date. And she says yes. Very romantic date. Philadelphia Flyers hockey game. You want to impress a woman, take her to see the Broad Street Bullies, bash the heck out of an expansion team, the Hartford Whalers. But we go out on a date, have a great time. Second date, we go for a walk. And she starts telling me about this serious boyfriend that she has. And how they're breaking apart and she just can't let go of him and she really still loves him and this is the hardest thing. And I'm thinking, I thought she was the available one. And I said, well, so how's Sue's boyfriend doing? And she goes, Sue's boyfriend? Sue doesn't have any boyfriend right now. And I was like, thanks, Don. But by the third date, Joyce and I played tennis at the beautiful estate where she and Sue taught tennis for many years in their teen years and through college. And we started talking the date about her getting dumped by her boyfriend, and getting dumped by my high school girlfriend, how we were done with dating, and we had just wanted to have friends and date socially. By the end of that walk, we were talking about when we were going to get married. And we did get married. We did get engaged on that tennis court the next summer. That was Friday, July 2nd of 1982. I don't know. This is before cell phones and before pagers. I do not know how Sue Niskorsky got that news. But I just know that in the time it took me to go over to Joyce's house, shower and change clothes, Sue put together a Tricia Egbers 5-course banquet. It was a big bottle of cold frozen champagne and salad, appetizer, big pork chop, big thick pork chop dinner, and it was a feast. And that's how our life began with Sue, me, and Joyce. And I started a career in drug law enforcement, and Sue went on to teaching at a Catholic school, religion, near her house. And she used to play basketball after school with the other teachers and the students. And one day when I used to join them every now and then, one day Sue jammed her finger and yelled that F word that you mentioned. It wasn't fungi or plastic. It was the F-bomb in the church gym. And I said, Sue, you just guaranteed all of us a trip right to hell. You can't talk like that. And she goes, chill. The school and the church are separate buildings. And I'll tell you what, from that day on, she threw F-bombs like she threw elbows on me. So we got married the next year and our lives took us in separate directions. Joyce and I went to New England and we never came back. And Sue went to the south of the Mason-Dixon line. And my uncle used to joke, he used to call the twins Joyce and Rejoice. And I used to think it was kind of funny, but the more I've lived life, the more I know he was exactly right, because Joyce has brought me a lot of joy in my life. But with Sue, every time we got together with Sue Niskorsky, it was a time to rejoice. Whether it was beach week, vacation in the summer, birthday celebrations, graduations, special family events, she knew how to put it on for giving love with food and hospitality and her golden heart.